All right. I'll start now. Welcome everyone to MSBS Dhamma Sharing Online. This event is jointly organized by Maha Satipatthana Buddhist Society Klang and Mudita Buddhist Society Klang. And of course, Palelai. What Palelai? Today is Tuesday, 21st July 2020. And the time now is 8:30. Okay, a few housekeeping before we start. Display your name for easy identification. So hopefully you all can adhere to it. Make sure your audio is muted all the time. If you wish to ask a question, you may type your question at the chat box. Or when you want to ask verbally to Bante, just raise your hand to the camera. And I will unmute you and you can talk to Bante. Okay, please turn off your microphone after you finish asking. And please one person to speak at one time. Okay, MSBS is fortunate to have Bante Adhibalo, popularly known as Phra Goh. Bante was born on July 14, 1985, not 45. Bante had his big coordination into the Theravada tradition of Thai Dhamma Youth Sect at Santi Forest Monastery in Johor, Malaysia in 2008. So Bante is a Mahatera, correct?
Not Mahatera, Tera.
Tera only.
Mahatera is, if I'm not wrong, 40 vasas and above.
Oh, okay. Bante spent the first 5 rains retreat at various forest monasteries in Malaysia and Thailand. He is currently Vice President of Wat Palelai Buddhist Temple, Singapore. The title of today's talk is Sublime States. This is the continuation of the Introduction to Meditation 2.0. Bante will be leading the homage to the Buddha and taking of the 5 precepts for those who want to. Okay, now let us compose our mind, put our palms together and welcome Bante. Over to you, Bante.
Okay, thank you, Terence, for the introduction. Okay, so for the Buddhist, we can chant. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Okay, 5 precepts. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kamesu miccācara Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Musawada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Surameraya Majapamadatthana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Okay, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, that concludes the 3 refuges and 5 precepts. So I'm going to start my talk. So like what Terence has introduced earlier, this is more like the filler episodes on Tuesdays. And the main infrastructure, the groundwork is mostly covered in the 2 retreats on Saturdays. And most of the content is actually taken from this basic meditation course, which I've been conducting at the Palelai Buddhist temple. Yeah, so it's an 8-lesson kind of course. So the slides, if you see the QR code over here, the PowerPoint slides used in that lessons. So I'm just recycling here. Okay, so I'm glad to share. Yeah, thanks MSBS and Mudita and all the relevant organizations that help to host this. Right, so we shall move on. Yeah, the 4 immeasurables. So in Singapore, right, today happened to be Racial Harmony Day, right? So extend to everybody, wish everybody happy Racial Harmony Day, right? So it's in line with today's topic as well, right? So we're going to cover it later. Okay, so this world is full of these issues since beginningless time, right? Since beginningless time, even in the Buddha's time or pre-Buddhist times, sometimes you can hear people face sort of discrimination, maybe due to the caste system, privilege, whatever it is, can be rich or poor, right? So all these things sure have one since beginningless time. And in Buddhism, we always say the cause, right, is due to karmic reasons, right, due to karma, right? We did certain things disrespectful in the past, and this lifetime we might receive at the receiving end of things, right? So of course, the cycle is a vicious cycle. We try to put an end. We try to promote education, and we don't let the cycle continue, right? Okay, next. Okay, so earlier on you see the poster. Yeah, you have these 4 sublime states. They are these 4, right? Okay, yeah, he's displaying everything now. Okay, so all right. So if you look at the picture, right? If you look at the picture, you see one figure, one character on the left. On the right is the Buddha, of course. So on the left is this Brahma Sahampati, right? This particular deity called Brahma Sahampati. So in Buddhism, there are many Brahmas, right? So this particular character, his job is to invite the Buddha to teach, right? According to this story, why I'm showing this story, because this Brahma is normally depicted as 4 faces. 4 faces, and these 4 faces represent these 4 qualities: loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, mudita, right? And upekkha, this equanimity. So these are the 4, we call it sublime states, these very positive and wholesome emotions, right? Very important in our daily life, right? So why do I bring up this story, right? So in normally Buddhist temples, especially Theravada Buddhist temples, you'll find this image or this statue, right? Normally like outside the main shrine in the open area, then you'll see this Brahma Sampati. So a lot of devotees, maybe Buddhists or visitors, they might go in and think, oh, this is a 4-faced Buddha. 4-faced Buddha, because it's got 4 faces. So actually it's not a 4-faced Buddha. It's neither the the Hindu version of Brahma also. Yeah, it's actually the Buddhist version of Brahma Sampati, right? There are many Brahmas in Buddhism. Okay, so this uh, stories happen when the Buddha, after he attained enlightenment, right? After he attained enlightenment, under the Bodhi tree, right? The Buddha was thinking, this Dharma, right? This teaching is so deep, too profound, too chim already, right? So he decided maybe he shouldn't teach, right? It's too tough to teach, right? So he decided to leave his days, enlighten, and pass away alone. So because he have this thought, so this particular deity, Brahma Sampati, has this mind reading ability. So he knew what the Buddha was thinking and immediately came down and sort of requested the Buddha to teach, right? Requested the Buddha to teach. So after requesting 3 times, right? On the request, he said that there are people with little dust in their eyes, right? They are able to understand the teachings, right? So after 3 times, and the Buddha considered and he agreed, right? So without this Brahma Sampati, then there won't be Buddhism, right? There won't be Buddhism, and the Buddha will be Pacheka Buddha, a silent Buddha, no more Samma Sambuddha. I won't be teaching, won't have this religion, no Sangha, no devotees, no Buddhists, right? So Buddhism is around also thanks to Brahma Sampati. That's why a lot of temples, they have this statue out of gratitude, right? Without him, no Buddhism, right? So what's the significance, right? Because out of compassion, right? Out of compassion and well-being for the world, because people suffer, right? All these emotional suffering, a lot of anger and whatever not. So, right, you need certain spiritual teachings, right? Spiritual teachings to elevate this suffering. So that's what this Brahma Sampati represent, right? So the Buddha is in sort of in a silent mode, right? He doesn't want to teach. Then this compassion reawaken his motivation to start teaching. So it can be understood in this metaphorical manner as well. So okay, we are going to cover these a few of these things. Okay, so we're starting the blue one, right? Loving kindness, right? The Pali word is metta, right? So in every meditation object, every kind of meditation topic, there will bound to be extremes, bound to have extremes. That means there's a chance where people will not practice it correctly, right? Will not practice it correctly. So for example, let's say for breath meditation, we covered breath meditation, right? So breath meditation, a person can practice in an extreme way as well, right? A person, if, the 2 extremes will be greed one end and hatred. Greed and hatred. So for breath meditation, if you practice with greed, so you breathe in, I want to be healthy, you breathe out, I want to be healthy, I want to have a long life, stay oxygenated and whatever, not stay healthy, right? So this is maybe for breath meditation. Then how about hatred? When the Buddha, he was practicing asceticism, right? He used the breath to torture himself. So he breathe in, he suffocate himself, breathe out, he breathe out hard and injure himself. So this is the 2 extremes. So any meditation can have both extremes, right? So once we understand this, then we have to know that if you want to practice correctly, you have to practice the middle way, right? The middle path. So the middle path is not the 50% of both greed and hatred, right? You cannot have 50% of greed, 50% of hatred, and you say, middle path. No, So the middle path is actually avoiding both extremes, right? So it's easy to say avoid. That means don't do anything, right? No, actually there's a lot of active involvement. You need to have right thoughts, right? A lot of right thoughts. So we are going to cover this. Okay, so loving kindness is actually to overcome anger, hatred, which is one extreme, which I covered, right? But loving kindness can be practiced wrongly, and we call it contaminated. Contaminated. So a person practices loving kindness in a contaminated way. That means mixed with greed, right? Then it becomes personal affection. Personal affection. That means I only like my family members. I only like my friends, right? So you're only kind to those people, right? So that means you sort of love with strings attached. So this is very conventional usage of the term love, right? So it's widely and commonly used. I love you, I love this, I love that. So it can be used in a boy-girl relationship. Can be used in a parents and child scenario. Can be used for, let's say, a person who loves a pet or whatever it is. So how much is actually we call unconditional love, and how much is it personal affection, right? So this one depends on the level of greed, right? So in traditional Theravada kind of education, they will call it direct and indirect enemies, right? So the direct enemy of loving kindness is anger, right? The indirect enemy would be personal affection, right? So let's say you sort of love somebody, right? You love somebody, and there's sort of strings attached because there's greed. Then, if let's say that person, does something untowardly towards you, right? Then that love is gone. That love is gone, right? And there's a strings attached, right? So we're going to talk deeper later on to the talk. Okay, so the next one would be compassion. Compassion, right? So I forgot to give the loving kindness. Okay, the standard definition of loving kindness, right, in the Theravada formula would be you wish all beings well and happy, right? Wish all beings well and happy, right? Then compassion would be to wish all beings free from suffering. Wish all beings free from suffering, right? So these two normally go hand in hand, right? So in Chinese Buddhism, they always call it 慈悲. 慈 means loving kindness, and 悲 means compassion. So you have this loving kindness and compassion together. Actually, all four, right? If you practice correctly, goes together with this appreciative joy and this equanimity. Right? But we're going to talk now on compassion. So compassion, the direct enemy, right? That means the opposite end of the spectrum would be cruelty in red. Right? Anything opposite will be in red. So cruelty is you want to harm somebody, right? You wish to harm somebody, and compassion is to you wish beings free from harm. Right? So that's the two opposites. But compassion again can be practiced wrongly. Some people practice compassion. Then after sometimes, especially those in the social service sector, right, or doing charity work, right? Or if they do it for too long, and with this how do you call it, without calming and grounding their mind, then they will develop this thing called burnout, or sometimes depression, right? So we call this passionate grief. Passionate grief. You do until you're so upset. You get very, very upset, depressed, right? Becomes like hopeless and helpless, right? Very passionate grief, very upset. So some of the examples would be, let's say you go to attend a person's, a friend's, or maybe a stranger's funeral. You got invited from a friend's friend. You go attend a funeral, right? So the immediate relatives, maybe they are not even crying. They might feel a bit upset. They're not crying, but as a total stranger, you go there and start to wail and cry and make a lot of noise. So that could be one form of extreme, right? So this is a kind of example what is passionate grief. Okay, I'm going to give a story example. Okay, how many of you heard of the original story of Thousand Arm Kuan Yin? Okay, maybe this belong to the Mahayana tradition, but I'm going to use this as a case example because I find it to be a very good story to illustrate, right? So, according to Mahayana Buddhism, right, Kuan Yin belongs to a student of Amitabha Buddha, right? So they belong to this Pure Land, right? They live in Pure Land, and Kuan Yin, right, before he got the 1,000 arms, he was also practicing this compassion, right? He specializes in practicing compassion, right? So he, as a bodhisattva, right, he made a vow, right, to try to save as many beings as possible. So at that point of time, he was sort of looking at the hell realms, right? So they meditate and have special ability, can look at the hell realms. Then he said, oh, lots and lots of suffering, right? So he also, he made a vow, before he can reach Buddhahood. That means before he complete the training, he has to save all beings in hell, right? Looks like competing with another bodhisattva. There's another one, the Earth Store Bodhisattva, right? Tijang Wang Pusa also wish to save all beings in hell. So this Kuan Yin also wish to save all beings in hell. If not, he won't reach Buddhahood, right? So to further motivate himself, he is going to give himself a condition, right? If he ever break this vow, right? If he ever break this vow, may he shatter into 1,000 pieces. May he shatter into 1,000 pieces. So that was his vow, right? So every day he tried to save the beings in hell. Maybe he radiate compassion, dedicate marriage, whatever he does. So he did a head count every day, do a head count. So some beings got saved, and the more he sort of count as the days go by, he find that the population in hell increase. Population in hell increase, right? So many people like to do bad things, right? So the population in hell sort of increase and increase. So he start to wonder, if he continue to do like this, he won't be able to reach his goal. He won't be able to reach his goal, and started to regret making this vow, right? So when he started to regret making this vow, then he start to crack and pizza into 1,000 pieces. He broke up into 1,000 pieces. So he shattered, break up into 1,000 pieces. So upon breaking up, his teacher, which is the Amitabha Buddha, got to know about this incident. So he flew down, and he fixed up Kuan Yin, right? So the new version becomes the 1,000-arm Kuan Yin, right? 1,000 arms, has 1,000 arms and 1,000 eyes. Okay, so that's the new version. Okay, so the moral of the story is, if you want to help somebody, right, you got to help with wisdom and no strings attached, right? No expectation, right? Because if you have expectation and strings attached, chances is that, high likely that if your expectations are not met, especially those who are helping the charity or social worker, I help you, make sure you must improve. Then sometimes some of the people that you help, they don't want to help themselves, so sometimes they get worse, their situation get worse. Then you start to feel upset or whatever. Then your heart break into 1,000 pieces. Your heart will break into 1,000 pieces. Or you help somebody you love so much, right? Then they never thank you. Then you feel so upset. Then your heart break into 1,000 pieces, right? So this is the story of not practicing compassion in the middle way. So very common. This one is all around the world. Okay, hopefully it gives a good illustration. Then the next one will be this appreciative joy. Appreciative joy, right? So appreciative joy is the third sublime state. So appreciative joy, the definition is to wish beings not to be separated from what they have attained. Right? Wish all beings not be separated from what they have attained. So this is the chant we normally use. Right? So the opposite would be jealousy. Opposite is jealousy. If somebody gets a promotion, you're not happy, then you get jealous. Right? Somebody did better than you, score well in school, right? Get better grades, then you get jealous, right? So this is the direct enemy of appreciative joy. So appreciative joy is to you feel happy for the person, right? So the opposite, right? I mean the indirect enemy of appreciative joy would be a mixture of greed inside. Then we call this exhilaration. Exhilaration, right? So I give an example. Let's say you only feel happy, if let's say your close friends or your classmates or your co-workers did something well, right? Somebody else from another department, another class did something well, then you boo. So there is a limitation, right? There's strings attached to to your kind of rejoice. And the popular example, maybe let's say football matches. Now, let's say you support certain football team, right? So if your football team then wins, right, then you're so happy, then you jump and you celebrate. If another team that you do not support wins, then you you don't do the same kind of celebration, right? So this is one good example, right? Appreciative joy. Okay, then the last one will be called equanimity. Equanimity. So this is very hard to explain emotion, right? Equanimity is to have a balanced state of mind, right? Not affected by the ups and downs of life. This is equanimity. So the opposite will be restlessness. If the mind likes to run here and there, likes to jump around like monkey, right? So yeah, previous slide, please. Oops, this next. Okay, so it's gonna make it all appear again. Okay, so right then the mind is always running around because the mind is always seeking something better, right? So the mind is not contented, always running around. So equanimity is to keep the mind sort of balanced. But however, interestingly, the standard formula in the chant for equanimity would be karma. Right? I'm the owner of karma, heir to the karma, whatever good or bad I do, right? That will I fall here. So this is like the one of the stock phrases of equanimity. When we try to contemplate using karma, right? Whatever good and bad that happened to me, I have to accept. Right. So let's say for the other religions, they believe can use God, whatever good or bad happened to me, right? Maybe it's God's will, heaven's will, destiny, fate, whatever you call it, is to keep the mind balanced, keep the mind equanimous, emotionally stable. Right. So that's the function. Okay. Then the opposite is restlessness. The mind run here and there, so excited or worry or whatever it is. And there is a indirect enemy. Indirect enemy. If let's say equanimity mixed with selfishness, then it's called indifference. Right? Equanimity mixed with selfishness. That means it's a kind of lazy kind of attitude, indifference. If let's say somebody collapse in front of you, then you don't care. The house, somebody get into trouble, maybe your house sort of burned down, right? Yeah, there's a story. But anyway, if let's say somebody collapse in front of you and you sort of don't care, then you tell people, I practice equanimity, right? It's actually rubbish. It's indifference, right? There's no compassion, and you don't try to even help, right? So you sort of ignore, you try to walk away. So the modern example nowadays, when there's something happening, maybe a crime occur, something bad occur, a disaster occur, very popular. People will take out the handphones and try to, try to take a photo and take a video, right? They try to take a video of what's going on and upload on sort of the internet, right? So of course, if you're not in a position to help and it's a serious issue, yes, by all means, it might be a useful kind of evidence to take a video. But if it's a simple, small case, somebody almost want to get in a quarrel, can be a small issue, knock into the shoulder, get in a heated argument, and you just stand there and film, right? Some things can be mediated and simmered down, right? And you don't try to help, then this is indifference, right? So a lot of people use this as an excuse. No, they practice equanimity. They don't do anything. Stand back and watch, and things escalate, right? So this is the issue in our modern world, or even days in the past. Okay, so I've covered these four, right? They are these extremes. So when we practice these kind of emotional states, very important, especially in most major religions, we talk about love or compassion, right? Very important qualities. It's good to be careful and not fall into the traps of these, we call it the indirect enemies, right? These emotions that will bring us down, right? Or maybe when you practice over time for many decades or even years, many years, right? As a spiritual practitioner, and sometimes we find that, hey, we don't go anywhere, right? We don't progress. Why? Why is that so? Right? Because sometimes we fall into one of the extremes. Okay, so I've covered the four, and we try to move on, try to explain equanimity further. Okay, next slide. Okay, so in Buddhism, right, we normally say the vicissitudes of life can be sort of generally named into 8 things. We call it the 8 worldly conditions. 8 worldly conditions. So what are these 8? Right. So the first pair will be gain and loss. Second, fame and defame. Praise and blame. And the last one, happiness and pain. Right. So these are the things that will affect us in a daily basis, or maybe moment-to-moment basis. You sit down for too long, also we have pain, right? So this is, it's a moment-to-moment thing. Then does it affect your emotional state, your mental state, right? So this is important thing. So same thing, praise and blame in the workplace, in your work environment, in school, right? The people around you, right? Fame and defame, are you, popular or not popular, whatever it is. And gain and loss, right? So you gain something, you earn money, right? Or you sometimes gain weight, right? Can be the inverse. So these are the things where people get emotionally affected. Emotionally affected. So one of the common stories people like to use would be this Zen story of this Su Tongpo, right? This poet in China. Poet in China. So the story goes that this poet happened to meet a Zen monk. So he met a Zen monk and sort of learned Zen Buddhism from him many years through conversations, discussions, or maybe informal kind of meetups. So after some time, he decided to write a poem to this monk in gratitude, right, for all the teachings that he've learned. Right, so he wrote many deep and profound things in Buddhism, and at the end, he wrote that the teachings have benefited him so much that the 8 worldly winds, right, which is this, the gain, fame, everything, right, does not affect him, right, will not affect him. 8 worldly winds will not affect him. He's not moved by the 8 worldly winds, right, to show this appreciation for the monk. So his house is separated from the monastery by a river's distance, separated by a river. So this poet asked his servant to take this letter, right, to pass it to the monk. So the servant rowed a boat, went to the monastery, and the monk passed it to him, and the monk opened up the letter, he read, and at the back he wrote his remarks. He wrote his answer, wrote his remarks, and asked him to return this letter back to his master, which is the poet. So the servant, okay, followed the instructions, took the letter, wrote the boat back to his master, right, and passed it back to the poet, right. So the poet was so excited. Oh, what did the master say? What did the Zen monk, what did the monk reply? Right. So he opened up his letter, and to his amazement, he saw the answer, and he wrote these the Chinese two words, 放屁, right, which means fart, F-A-R-T, fart in English, right. So he got so infuriated. Hey, I wrote I spent so much thought into writing this poem, right. So he was very unhappy, and he personally traveled to the monastery himself. He rowed the boat, brought a letter, and he went to the monastery, right. So at the door, he managed to bang the door of the monastery and asked the monk, hey, why did you write this fart, right, and the letter? So the monk didn't come out of the monastery, right? He anticipated the move, and at the entrance of the door, he wrote a notice. And at the notice, he wrote, if you are not affected by the 8 worldly winds, how come one fart can blow you all the way here, right? So this is the answer from the Zen monk, right? So the moral of the story is, right, equanimity is an emotional kind of state, right? That means emotionally you are not affected, right? So in Buddhism, it's not all about theory. So right now I'm just going through theory, right? So there are 3 phases of learning in Buddhism. First, you have the theory. Second, the practice, and thirdly, the actualization. That means you get to experience it for yourself. So in these sort of Tuesday sessions, I hope to break it up into a small segment of theory, and hopefully more time for practice, and some Q&A, to clarify and sort of troubleshoot some of your issues. Okay, so I'm going to stop the theory for today. We are going to open up for some questions, right? Open the floor to some questions for maybe about 5 minutes or so, right? Q&A. Then you can type your questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand.
If you all want to ask questions, you all can unmute yourself.
Oh, everybody understood the talk, huh?
Bante, Casey.
Yes.
Bante, you talk about the four Brahma Viharas.
Yep.
Is it to be practiced simultaneously, or is it to be practiced? So when we do a sitting meditation, do we practice all these 4 simultaneously?
Oh, you can just take one. Take one. So for the practice session, we'll just focus on one first, do metta, loving kindness, and the rest will naturally develop. Right? A person cannot be, let's say, having loving kindness but no compassion. That means something is wrong with the practice. Right? So if a person develop one, then the rest will develop accordingly. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Bante.
Imagine you wish all beings well and happy, then you wish them to suffer as well, right? So it's kind of contradictory.
All beings happy, then use the mosquito spray.
Yeah.
So Bante, you're saying that for the 4 Brahma Viharas, you just need
Yeah.
to practice metta and everything else will come. So metta is the basis, the foundation of all the 4.
Yeah, a person can start off with any of the 4, provided that they practice the middle way correctly, right? And don't end up, how do you call it, indirect emotional states, right? The extreme that mix with greed. So like what Terence gave the example earlier, you wish all beings are happy, you know, it's just a kind of theoretical understanding. But then, no, when the mosquitoes come, then you try to harm them or try to kill them, right? Not good enough, right?
Okay.
Oh yes, I saw a question. Okay, can I ask you about samatha meditation? Does this form of meditation gathers a form of energy? And does this energy get dissipated through the day after samatha meditation? Any question? Is there a way to maintain energy from samatha meditation after the meditation and throughout the day? Okay, right. So for Dean, it's good to watch my watch my retreat videos. Right, the answers are there, but I can give you a short, how do you call it? A short answer, right? A short answer. So, okay. So for energy, right? Okay. So this energy again is different from chi or chakra, or no, or the scientific kind of energy we use to measure heat and temperature and that kind of energy, or this kind of potential kinetic energy. No, right? So it's a different kind of energy. We call it a kind of consciousness, right? So the mind will sort of upgrade, right? This consciousness or the state of mind to a different level, right? So throughout the day, right? So the mind gets to, how do you call it? Work around through the sense bases. That means your mind gets attached to different forms, sights, smells, tastes, etc. And so the consciousness will go back down to the base form, right? So this is the whole idea. Now the mind will get temporary charge in samatha meditation, and it will naturally dissipate. So this is the nature of the mind, right? So if you want to maintain, right, energy of this samatha meditation, you want to maintain this concentrated state. Is it possible? Yes. So these 4 Brahma Viharas is one of the techniques to maintain this mind in boundless mode. It's a kind of sublime kind of consciousness. So it's good to practice. So another method is simultaneous kind of chanting or mantras, right? So I think most religions would have a certain short form of prayer or mantra, so they sort of repeat it the whole day. So Buddhists also have it, right? So Theravada they have the Itipiso chanting is a long one. The Thai shorten it to just two syllables, Bhutto, right? So the Mahayana has a lot, lots of mantras. Amitofo or Mani Padme Hum, so they can choose any one of their liking, and they can chant the whole day. So this is one way of maintaining the samadhi kind of consciousness throughout the day. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question, right? So any other questions? Wow, no questions. Okay, so oh yeah, there's another one. So the chitta requires regular deep meditation to build a strong of this mindfulness consciousness energy. Is this a kind of muscle of the chitta? Okay, so this is a very good question. I may or may not know where you're coming from, but in the Thai tradition or even the Hindu traditions, they equivalent chitta as the pure mind or the pure kind of consciousness. But if you want to go by standard Theravada definition, if you look under Chitta Nusati, right, mindfulness of the states of mind, then Chitta is actually, there's a whole wide spectrum of Chitta, right, from greedy mind, greedy Chitta, no, non-greedy Chitta, angry, non-angry Chitta, so on and so forth, right, scattered, unscattered mind, concentrated, non-concentrated mind, all the way to unliberated and liberated mind, right? So they're actually taking up one small spectrum of the whole range of chittas, and then they just call it chitta, right? So there are many kinds of chitta. So from talking about a practical point of view would be only an enlightened person will get to experience a pure chitta, right? So if you tell any beginner pure chitta, they won't know what it is, right? So it might mislead them, to say that that awareness is pure chitta. So so it's like any untrained person would have that kind of awareness. So that won't be called a pure chitta. Only an enlightened being would have a pure chitta. Right, so hopefully that kinds of answers your question. Okay. Right, waiting for questions. Okay, all right. You're welcome, Dean. Okay, if we do not have questions, right, what I normally do in my classes is that I will give a short 5-minute break. That means you go to the washroom or do stretching, right? Ideally, you do stretching. Then 5 minutes later, then you come back. Yeah, 5 minutes. So we give a 5-minute break, right? 5-minute break. Right. So those who want to stay here, you can hang around here by all means, right? But it's good to have a break because you want the meditation session to be well and happy, right? So I don't want to torture you. So I'm practicing compassion. All right. So I'm going to take a short break as well since most of the participants left. Yeah, so for those who are around, maybe can kindly turn on your videos, right? Because if you sort of fall asleep in your meditation, I won't know, yeah? Just show your icon and you might be doing something else. All right, so we take it as they are just parking their attendance and they might be doing something else. All right, okay, so we're going to start first. So for those who are ready, and we find comfortable sitting position, right? So if you're like in front of the screen and you're sitting on a chair, and by all means, please sit on a chair, find a comfortable posture. If you do not have any back injuries, then please keep upright and don't lean on the chair. If you have back injuries, yes, please lean back and don't torture yourself, right? Practicing compassion. If you are already a very, very veteran meditator, you want to sit full lotus on the floor, yes, by all means. Okay, so once you are upright and relaxed, right, then we can close our eyes. Okay, and the first phase of our meditation we are doing is the visualization of our body. Right, is to understand our body. Right, we call this the Asubha meditation, and we're adding this loving kindness. Right, so we are first going to visualize our hair. Right, it's like as though looking at a mirror, looking at yourself, and looking at your hair. So the ordinary person will go to the extremes, right? When they look at their hair, then they might think, oh, my hair is so beautiful, so nice, I like my hair. So this is one extreme. Right, the other extreme would be, oh, my hair is so ugly, so messy, I don't like my hair. Right, so this is another extreme of anger, right? So to practice middle way, right, we're going to have thoughts of loving kindness. And we are going to wish, right, may all the hairs be well and happy. So the phrasing in your mind is very important. We don't go and wish my hair, right? So we're going to wish all the hairs. We're going to remove the ego out of the equation. So we wish all the hairs from head to toe, right? May all the hairs be well and happy. And we are going to introduce another thought, which is non-greed. Right? So these are the two extremes, greed and hatred. So the other thought we are going to introduce is now we're going to visualize that all our hairs, right, all the hairs go through this cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. Right, so basically all the hairs, they get dirty, oily, and sweaty. And they grow long. They crack when it's dry. And they turn white when it's old. And eventually they fall off. Well, every day we have lots of hair falling off. And we are going to ask ourselves, right? So this is a self-discovery, or no, some Buddhists call it non-self-discovery question. Is these hairs truly self? Are the hairs truly you? If it is truly you, can you tell the hairs not to go through this birth and death? Next, we are going to think of our nails, right? We are going to wish all the nails well and happy. So all the fingernails, may they be well and happy. And all the toenails, may they be well and happy. And all the nails are subject to this birth and death. Yeah, they grow long, they get dirty, they discolor, and sometimes due to diseases, malnutrition, and they go through wear and tear. They get scratches, cracks, and even chip off. Every time we scratch on something hard with our nails, yeah, some of the nails will also fall off. And then we can ask ourselves, are these nails truly self? Are they truly you? Can you tell the nails not to go through this birth and death? And the next part of the body we are going to think is our teeth. Yeah, all the teeth in the mouth, may they be well and happy. So we wish all the upper rows of teeth, may they be well and happy. And all the lower rows of teeth, may they be well and happy. And all these teeth are subject to birth and death. Right? The teeth will change in shape and size. They will change in color. Yeah, they get dirty. Have all the plaque build up. Yeah, get yellowish and turn brown. and they decay and turn black. And they have tooth cavities, and they grow holes. And they get shaky. And eventually they fall off. And we can ask ourselves, are these teeth truly self? Are they truly you? Can we tell the teeth not to go through this birth and death? Okay, and next we are going to think of the skin. Yeah, so the skin is an organ that surrounds the whole body. Right, so we're going to wish all the skin well and happy from head to toe, every pore of the skin well and happy. And all the skin are subject to birth and death. They get dirty, oily, sweaty, and they wrinkle up when it's old. They crack up when it's dry. And they face all kinds of skin problems, from skin irritation, allergies, turn red. Yeah, and then there's all these boils, pimples, pus, etc. And we are going to, and the skin, right, they fall off every day. And lots of skin fall off. Every time we rub our skin, right, some skin fall off. And we can ask ourselves, are these skin truly self? Can we tell the skin not to go through this birth and death? Okay, next phase, we are going to sort of strengthen the mind a bit, right? It's like charging up the battery. So we are going to sort of feel the breath, right? We're just going to feel one small area or one small point below the nostril and above the upper lip, right? Using our sense of touch. No need to visualize, right? No need to visualize anything. Using the sense of touch, the skin, right? So we're going to feel below the nostril, above the upper lip of the air coming in and out, right? So no need to feel your diaphragm, your windpipe, and your lungs, right? Just one small area. And let our breathing be our natural reflex action. No need to control our breathing, right? So whenever there's an inhalation, we wish the breath well. Whenever there is an exhalation, we wish the breath happy. Right, so breathe in well, breathe out happy. Right, have loving kindness to the breath. You'll be amazed with the power of loving kindness, right? Loving kindness can do wonders. A lot of meditators, when they do breath meditation, or they try to calm down the mind, or they struggle a lot, they force the mind. But with loving kindness, it appeases the mind. So it's a very important step. Make friends with the breath. Also, part of the right thought formula, right? Reduce the desire of violence or hatred, right? Normally we are violent to our own mind. We want to force and coerce the mind to do things, to execute certain commands, right? So we don't really love our mind. So the more we coerce and force the mind, the more stressful, more tension, more suffering. Right, so we reduce this desire of violence, right? So we sort of have loving kindness. So breathe in well, breathe out happy. So we focus on the process, and the byproduct will be the mind will actually calm down naturally by itself. So we focus more on the process. So if you really do your loving kindness correctly with the breath, then actually you shouldn't be pulling a long face. It shouldn't be too stern. Should be all relaxed and happy. Okay, once the mind is more calm and fluid, then we can introduce the other thought which is thoughts of detachment. So we're actually trying to observe, right, the birth and death of the breath, the microcycles of birth and death, or the rising and falling of the breath, right? Because the breath is invisible, that's why we just need to use the sense of touch. There are various sensations in the breath. We classify them into the 4 elements, right? Earth, fire, wind, and water. Nothing magical about them. So the earth represents any hard and soft kind of sensations when you feel in the breath, right? So when you breathe in and out, if there are any change of the density in the air or the touch of your skin, then that's the changes, right? The birth and death of the earth element, or the rising and falling of the earth element. And the fire represents the temperature, hot and cold, right? So if there's any change in the temperature when you breathe in and out, then there's a birth and death of the fire element. And the wind, the fast and slow, long and short movements of the breath. So when you breathe in and out, if there are any changes in the breathing rate, then there's a birth and death of the wind element. And the water element is the moist or dry sensations. So when you breathe in and out, any changes in humidity, then there's a birth and death of the water element. So there's no need to purposely generate these sensations, right? When you feel the breath, whichever sensation that is most obvious to you, then you just keep watch and observe the birth and death of that sensation. The whole idea is to continue to be mindful of this impermanence of the breath until the mind can settle down. Right, this observation of impermanence will create this detachment. Right? The mind will not find anything worth investing in, anything changing all the time. Right? So sometimes meditation, some people say, meditation, sit there, do nothing, think nothing, right? So not true. Once the mind is sort of too still or too quiet and idle, right? There's a saying, right? Idle mind is a workshop for the devil, right? So in Buddhism, it's the Mara. Right? So our delusion and clinging will come, and we will think, and we'll sort of fantasize, or anything stagnant. So you have to keep, continue to observe the birth and death of the elements of the breath, and the mind will continue to detach and calm down. So the whole idea is to keep on doing it until the mind cannot settle any further, right? There's like a certain limit to where the mind can calm down. So you have to find the end point. Okay, so using whatever you learned right from this process of detachment, we are going to apply in a more sort of active kind of scenario. So now we are going to sort of radiate loving kindness. So basically, we are going to pay attention in front. So we are going to wish all beings in front well and happy. So I'm going to apply the mind in a certain direction, but you have to do it in a way with detachment. Right? How to practice love and compassion without any form of exertion, any form of attachment. So for this exercise, again, no need to visualize that. Just a general concept of all beings in front. Because once you visualize, then your mind will start creating a whole lot of movies, a lot of drama series. And then we return this attention back to ourselves. Right? Then we are going to wish all beings behind be well and happy. And then we come back to ourselves and we are going to wish all beings on the left, may they be well and happy. And then we come back to ourselves and we are going to wish all beings on the right, may they be well and happy. And we come back to ourselves. Okay. Next, we wish all beings above, may they be well and happy. And then we come back to ourselves. And we're going to wish, may all beings below be well and happy. And we come back to ourselves. This time we wish our entire body well and happy, right from head to toe. We're going to wish every part of the body well and happy. And we fill this entire body with loving kindness. And eventually we are going to radiate this loving kindness in all the directions, above, below, and all across. Right? And we start off with we wish all beings in your house, right? All beings in your house be well and happy. right? Maintain this detachment, mindful of this impermanence and detachment also. And we are going to extend this loving kindness to the surrounding neighborhood. Right? We wish all beings in the neighborhood be well and happy. And then we are going to extend the loving kindness, right, to the entire country. Right, we're going to wish the entire country well and happy. And we are going to extend the loving kindness to all the surrounding countries, right, in Southeast Asia, the ASEAN region. Yeah? May all beings in the region be well and happy. And then extend this loving kindness to the entire earth. Yeah, may all beings on this planet be well and happy. And it's good to wish for world peace, but make sure the mind is also at peace, detached, mindful of the settling of the mind. And eventually we are going to extend the loving kindness to the entire universe. And may all beings in this universe be well and happy. So we maintain this boundless loving kindness in the Karaniya Metta Sutta, right, the teachings on loving kindness. And the Buddha taught that if a person were to maintain this boundless, loving kindness, be it standing, sitting, walking, or lying down, right, then this is the highest conduct, right, the highest practice. So meditation is not about sitting down, your eyes closed. It's about maintaining this positive framework, this state of mind, this positive emotion or sublime states throughout the entire day in whatever we do. So with that in mind, then we can gently open our eyes and we sort of formally end the meditation, right? But mentally, we sort of meditate the whole day, right? Okay, so yeah, it's 10 o'clock, right? So any questions on the ground, any problems or issues?
Monday.
Yeah.
There's one. All right.
Okay.
This come to my mind because as Buddhists we know that everyone is suffering, right? But how do you share the loving kindness to them? How do you radiate to them?
Okay. Okay, the whole idea of loving kindness, right, is not to save the other being literally, right? Is to cultivate our intention first, right? Is to practice this altruistic, kind of purify the intention to be more in how to say goodwill, in a friendliness. Yeah, so this is kind of habitual kind of reprogramming. Habitual reprogramming, so that in our interaction with others, then it will surface. Yeah.
So basically, it come back to ourselves.
Yeah, it's changing ourselves. It's not to change the world. It's not like I wish the entire world well and happy, free from disease, free from war. Then it will happen. No? I'm not that powerful. Right? It's inner change. It's an inner transformation. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Another question.
Yes,
Bante.
Bante, I have a question.
Okay. Yeah.
For the metta meditation, Bante start off with beings in front, then beings at the back, beings at the back.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why we gradually do that? We just do, directly and say that may all beings be well and happy.
Oh, that can too, but the direction is more like a conditioning, more like conditioning the mind. Yeah, it's we'll go on that in the next few lessons. It can be found in the Karaniya Metta Sutta. Yeah, but they give in the different directions: north, south, east, west. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. Okay, who's asking the next question?
Bante,
Yeah.
just now when we were doing the Asubha, and then when you say the nails cracked and whatever, then I feel a lot of agitation in my mind, So how do you overcome this agitation?
Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's why for the impurities of body meditation, I normally do loving kindness first. I have enough love to the loving kindness before you do this decaying process, aging and decaying process, right? Because without the softening of the mind cannot take it. There's no shock absorber, no shock absorber. Yeah, so you cannot absorb the reality, because a lot of times in life we will face, things in life, all of us, we get old, we get sick, and eventually we'll pass away, right? So we sort of condition our mind to accept this reality in a gradual manner, right? So that we can come to terms if really things, no such things happen, so we do it gradually, right? So if we still feel disturbed, that means still not yet prepared, not the equanimity is still not there, right? The mind's still shaken. So if we practice over time, when the mind gets stronger, the foundation is better, then when you do next time, do no feeling like then okay, that means you you improve. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. Any other questions?
Bante, if
Yeah.
while we are doing meditation with our eyes closed, I always have this tendency to cough. How do I overcome that?
Oh, okay. Tendency to cough. All right. So yeah, probably you need to clear. No, there's a lot of this snot. No, different people have different biological problems. No, maybe certain traditions, maybe yoga tradition, or even the Tibetan tradition, they have the clearing of the nostrils and the airway first. Yeah, rinse in the water and whatever, and breathing techniques. No, that kind of stuff. So maybe down here we don't emphasize so much. Yeah, but if you want, you can clear the fluid first in the air pipe, your airways, then it might not hinder you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Somebody
right.
raise hand. iPhone raise hand. I don't know who's iPhone. Can you unmute yourself and talk, please?
Oh, the galaxy no more here. I wish all beings in the galaxy well and happy.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Bante.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm from Singapore. Yeah.
Okay.
I just curious. If we rate it, when we do the loving kindness meditations, we rate it loving kindness to the all the center being, like on the surrounding us. Can they really actually, just curious? Can they actually feel it? The metta for us?
If they are sensitive, and depends on the strength of your metta, right? Got two factors. One is your strength of your metta, then the other one is the sensitivity of the other being. So usually it's the unseen beings who are more sensitive, right?
How about the animal and insects?
Animals.
Can they actually feel it when we
Very good
spread to
question,
them?
because normally there's the story of the Buddha, right? When he was charged by a drunken elephant, and he tried to stop the elephant with his loving kindness, and the elephant can sense his loving kindness and stop, kneel down, right? Elephant was charging towards him. So I would advise you not to experiment on animals, right? Please do not experiment. In fact, there's teaching, this Sabbasava Sutta, right? The sort of the elimination of all the defilements. So one of the advice the Buddha gave, when if a person is going to a forest, they are supposed to avoid dangerous animals. You don't go and purposely go and go near them and experiment on them. So the first thing they do is fight or flight instinct. They might attack you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Bante.
All right, no problem. Okay, any other question? Yes, William. You have to unmute yourself first.
You press the unmute button.
Yeah. William, you need to unmute yourself. Must press the unmute button. Yes. Okay.
Hi, good evening to everybody.
Yes, I can hear you now.
I would like to ask the visualized meditation.
Yeah.
So the two extreme between greed and hatred, is there a manifestation on it? Because I don't feel greed or I don't feel hatred on the visualization of the meditation.
Okay.
So is there a manifestation for the greed and hatred in this visualization?
Yeah, this one you have to observe your emotional state, right, before you make the mental wish, right? Let's say you think of a hair. So the initial state, we have certain degree of this contamination of greed and hatred. So you take note of the emotion first, then you wish your hair were happy. Then after you make the wish, then when there's a change of the emotion, then that is the state of mind that is reduced of this hatred. Right?
So when there is no emotion, then is it okay or not? There's no hatred or no greed.
At which point you have to
like the manifestation of the detachment about the in control the thing. It's just like there's no emotion because it's just like it's natural.
Yeah, okay. if let's say you made both wishes, right? You made the wish, but happy, then you think of thoughts of non-greed, no, you think of the impermanence. There will be a point of time where the mind will come down, have this tranquility, right? Certain peace. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? No questions. Okay, then.
Okay, last one.
Oh yes. Okay.
From Mudita side.
Okay.
Ante, how to overcome sloth and torpor? Is it due to aging that one experience this? Is it normal? Sukio2.
Okay, you want to know how to overcome sloth and torpor? I've covered that in the most recent retreat. Right, on Saturday there are varying kinds of methods. You can refer to that. So one of the ways to increase the RPM, right, rate per reflection per minute, right, of observing impermanence. So this is one way you can have a Dhamma discussion in your mind. Any doubt you can sort of ask, right? Create this active discussion. You can do some chanting, right? Stand and walk, do walking meditation. Then if you're into visualizing, then you can do some visualizations. So these are a few kinds of methods. Yeah. Any other questions? I saw the chat. There's one. Yeah. Hold on. Oh yeah, I saw quite a number. Okay, when I was going through extending the body, loving kindness met out all directions, including one's body, I get a brief sense that this is directly impacting my body, well-being. Metta flows from Dhamma through this mind body. Is this right view of this practice? Okay, so whatever you experience in meditation, you just treat it as a perception, right? It's just a perception, and it is impermanent, right? You just whatever you experience, all experiences are impermanent. So you just need to remind yourself that, right? Don't cling on to any kind of experience. And the next question, Bhante, when I was going through the extending loving kindness, metta in all directions. Okay, the same. Okay, so repeat. Okay, all right. Yep. Any other questions? Okay, if there's no question, then it's already 10 plus, right?
Yeah.
Then we can end the session. So metta is good for sleep, so have a good sleep with loving kindness. And any other things you want to
Nothing.
share?
Do you want to
Announcement?
share dedicate marriage?
Dedicate marriage. Yeah, okay.
Okay, give me a second. Okay.
So we do this dedication chant. So these are those who are from other faiths. This is something like our guardian angels. So you can sort of make an aspiration, right? So for the Buddhists, we sort of dedicate them to the guardian deities. Akasatha ca bhumata devanaga mahidika punyang ta anumoditva cirang rakantu loka sasanang etavata ca ampihi sapadang punya sapadang sabbe dewa sabbe buddha sabbe sata anumodantu sabba sampadisidhiya idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo sata samagamo hotu yavane bana patiya sadhu sadhu sadhu. Okay.
Okay, thank you,
Alright.
Bante.
Thank you,
Good night.
everyone. Okay, good night.
Thanks, Bante.
Okay, thank you for hosting. Bye-bye.
See you next week.
Right, yeah, see you next week.
Bye. Bye-bye from Singapore. From Malaysia to Singapore. Good night. Have a good sleep.